everyone. So, ReZero Season 4 Episode 4 continues to lean into mystery and atmosphere, and this time it puts Subaru right at the center of something much bigger than he understands. The episode opens on a disorienting note with Subaru trapped in what feels like a nightmare. Familiar enemies from his past, Petelgusk and Regulus, appear before him, speaking in ways that don't quite make sense, almost like fragments of trauma rather than real encounters. It sets the tone immediately. Subaru isn't just fighting external threats anymore, he's still carrying everything he's been through. He wakes up to something far gentler, resting on Amelia's lap inside a carriage. There's a quite emotional beat here as he learns she's been taking care of him for 2 days while he was unconscious. It's a small moment but reinforces their bond and gives the episode a soft landing before things start getting strange again. Once Subaru regains his bearings, he reconnects with the group and realizes they are back at a familiar location, the site of a previous battle against a fire welding monster. But the real shift happens when Shola is properly introduced. Instead of being intimidating or mysterious in a threatening way, she is energetic, playful, and immediately attached to Subaru. She jumps on him and calls him her master and treats him with unwavering devotion. The problem is Subaru has absolutely no idea who she is. This confusion turns into one of the episode's most intriguing threads. Shola insists that Subaru is her master, even though everyone, including Subaru, knows that that's not true. The group discuss three legendary figures tied to coins, and Shalu's actual master is revealed to be Flugel, a name that carries weight but remains shrouded in mystery. The explanation for her mistake is bizarre but very re-zero. She recognizes Subaru by his scent, which somehow matches Flugel's. That single detail opens the door to a much larger question. Why does Subaru resemble Flugel in any way at all? The episode doesn't answer that, but it keeps layering intrigue. Shola explains the true nature of the Pleiades Watchtower, and this is where things get really interesting. What seemed like a location is actually something far more important, a place of knowledge, almost like a grand archive or library that could hold answers to nearly anything. Most importantly, it might contain the key to saving Rem. That revelation alone raises stakes significantly. The Watchtower isn't just a destination, it's a potential turning point for the entire story. We also learn more about Shola herself, and her backstory adds an unexpected emotional layer. She's been guarding the desert for 400 years, waiting for her master to return. 4 centuries of loyalty, isolation, and unwavering purpose. It reframes her playful personality into something a bit more tragic. She isn't just quirky, she's been alone for an unimaginable amount of time. Subaru quickly realizes that her belief in him gives him influence over her, and instead of abusing that power, he uses it carefully. He makes a promise not to harm his friends, and she agrees without hesitation. It's a subtle but important character moment for Subaru, showing how much he's grown. Earlier version of him might have handled that differently, but now he's more measured, more aware of consequences. Finally, the episode builds towards the central challenge, gaining access to the Watchtower's archive. Entry isn't freely given, it requires passing a trial. Everyone else has already taken it, but Subaru must face it himself. When he steps up, he is confronted by a strange monolithic slab that multiplies upon contact, creating an almost surreal test environment. The instruction he receives is cryptic: hero vanquished by Shola, touch upon his grandiose splendor. It's vague, symbolic, and very much in line with the series style of testing not just strength but understanding. Somehow, Subaru manages to pass through the exact reasoning behind his success, adds yet another layer of mystery. Overall, this episode thrives on what ReZero does best: complex world building, emotional undercurrents, and unanswered questions that keep pulling you forward. The introduction of Shola is a highlight, blending humor, intrigue, and quiet sadness into one character. At the same time, the Watchtower raises the stakes in a meaningful way, especially with the possibility of finding a way to bring Rem back. If there's any weakness, it's that the episode leans heavily on setup. Not much is resolved and lot of information is thrown at the audience. But for a series like this, that's part of the appeal. It's less about immediate payoff and more about slowly uncovering a much larger puzzle. By the end, you are left with more questions than answer, but they are the kind of questions that make you want to keep watching. Thank you for watching. Bye.